We are back and we're reading chapter 14 of The Journey Back. After my eyesight cleared up, I also had a good look at this girl, Nora. First thing I noticed is that she was pretty. Plus, she had a nice figure, which I was very aware of because her jeans were skin tight and her tank top clinged to every nice curve she had. Her hair was long and shiny black except for a single stripe of blue. She liked to twist and drape her long hair over one shoulder. Her bangs were long too and hid the tops of her eyes, making her seem kind of mysterious. Different. That's a word you would definitely use to describe Nora. Besides being pretty, she had a tiny silver stud on one side of her nose, a rose tattoo on her upper right arm, and she wore blue eyeliner that matched the stripe in her hair. She looked sort of punk, but she didn't act weird like some of the punk girls I knew back in middle school. True, she did still have an annoying I'm better than you attitude, but maybe because she was so smart. She took all the college prep classes at a local high school where she was a freshman, which is what I'd be if I hadn't been sent off to Cliffside. And the second day she ever talked to me, she told me she was going to be a doctor. I couldn't understand then why she'd want to waste her time coming to see me every afternoon after school, but I'm glad she did. One day she brought over my boots, which she had cleaned so thoroughly they looked like new. Another day she brought me a pair of crutches because I was still hobbling around. "So how do you like Woody?" she asked one afternoon. She and I were sitting at the picnic table, waiting for Luke to finish his homework in the tent. When he was done, we were going to walk down to the river to go fishing. "Woody?" I looked across the table at her, but hesitated saying anything because I still wasn't sure what to think about him. Or about Nora. "Well, one thing's for sure," I said. "He's a good dad. Every night he and Luke have a game of checkers, and then they read a book together." I kind of shook my head like in disbelief. "My father never once read me a book." Nora kind of snorted. "Yeah, I don't even have a dad." "What do you mean?" I know I have a dad," Nora went on, "but I've never met him. He lives down south somewhere. Mom said he already had a family when he met her. He paid my mom a bunch of money to go away. He'd probably have a heart attack if I showed up on his doorstep one day. Believe me, I've thought about it. Anyway, you're right about Woody. You're right that Woody really loves Luke," she continued. "But there's something else about Woody I haven't figured out yet. I babysat for Luke this summer, and I don't know. Sometimes I had these weird vibes. If I were you, I'd be careful about getting too involved." She looked at me like she wanted me to agree with her. But so far, Woody had been nothing but kind to me. Plus, I didn't plan on sticking around, so I wasn't worried about getting too involved. I just shrugged. "Okay," I told her. "Thanks, I'll be careful." A pause. "So you live with your mom then?" I asked her. "Yeah, we've lived here a few months because it's inexpensive. Some people here are on vacation, sure, but a lot of people live here because it's cheaper than renting an apartment and paying utilities." "Utilities? Like gas and electric?" I didn't volunteer the information that we'd had the electric cut off at my house a bunch of times when my parents didn't pay the bill. "A lot of people here have seasonal jobs," Nora explained. "Picking vegetables or doing construction. My mom works at a horse farm." Nora pushed a pen and a napkin toward me across the picnic table, and I saw that she had drawn a tic-tac-toe grid on it. "A horse farm?" "She's a trainer. I work there on the weekends with her. You could get a part-time job there too if you want. They always need people to muck stalls." I put an O in the tic-tac-toe grid. "Muck stalls?" Shoveling manure, pitching hay. It pays minimum wage." "How much is that?" Nora added an X. "I think minimum wage is $7.25 right now." My head sprang up in surprise. "An hour?" When Nora nodded, I thought, wow, if I worked an 8-hour day, that would be like $58 a day. Quickly, I placed an O. "Would I have to give somebody an ID?" "I don't think so," she said. The woman who runs the farm is super nice. Now that her summer volunteers are gone, she really needs the help. Nora made her next move, and I made mine. Gotcha! Nora exclaimed as she added a third X and drew a diagonal line through the grid. While she drew up a new game, my mind was spinning. It would be so nice to make a little money. I could work there a while Luke was in school or on weekends. And working at a farm would be safe. I could pretty much keep out of sight. But this was the other thing. Farms had all kinds of stuff lying around. At my grandfather's farm, my friends and I once discovered a rusted sword in the upper hayloft. It was on a windowsill, up high where the pigeons flew in. Grandpa didn't have a clue where it came from. Not only that, but we ran across rat poison, old containers of kerosene, cattle prods, shotgun shells, all kinds of dangerous stuff. I would need some kind of weapon if I was going to protect my mom and the kids when I got home. Maybe I'd find it at this farm. All done, Luke exclaimed as he came out from the tent with his tackle box in hand. I put the horse farm job in the back of my mind, and we three set off for the river. Luke ran ahead with Buddy, while Nora carried the fishing rod and walked slowly beside me as I hobbled on the crutches. Another hot day. When we got down to the river, I was sweating. You and Luke ought to jump in and take a swim, I suggested to Nora. If I didn't have the sprained ankle, that's what I'd do. Nora wrinkled her nose. Nah, I don't want to get my hair wet. Besides, Luke can't swim. No kidding. Having grown up near a river, I never knew a kid who couldn't swim. I helped Luke get a fly on the end of his hook. Then Nora and I sat on two nearby rocks. We watched Luke cast out and reel in. Slow, I called out to Luke. Don't reel it in so fast. You gotta give those fish time to see your bait. You want that fish to think that spinner is a worm or a bug. What you're trying to do is trick the fish. Right off, Luke started reeling in more slowly. Like this? He called out. Yup, I gave him a thumbs up. Nora smiled. He likes you. I smiled too. Then stupid me, I blurted out. Back home, I have a brother the same age and a little sister too. Nora didn't seem to catch the look on my face. You're lucky, she said. I don't have a brother or sister. It's just me and my mom. I mean, we're really close and all, but I think it would be nice to have a sister to talk to sometimes. We move around so much that it's hard for me to make friends. You don't have friends at school? She shook her head. I don't want friends at school. I thought everybody wanted friends. Not me, she said. I don't let anybody at the high school get close. I don't want them to know I live at a campground because then they'd write me off and probably give me some grief about it. She was quiet and then added, so if you ever don't want friends, just do something really weird with your hair or pierce your nose. People leave you alone when you're different enough. A tattoo here and there doesn't hurt either. Shows people you're tough. I felt like I should have said something to her then. I punched out kids plenty of times so they'd leave me alone. And I knew what it was like to have to hide something. But if I told her stuff, how would I know what she would do with that information? Undecided, I sat there again saying nothing, while another whole minute went by. I watched Luke casting in and out. So, Nora said, who is Michael Griswold? What? I swung my head around fast. Michael Griswold, she said, repeating my name. My mouth fell open. Like, how'd she know? Here, she said, not waiting for me to come up with an answer. You left this card in the pocket of those pants I threw away. I forgot to give it to you. It was the white card from Cliffside. I forgot about the card and the fact that it had my name on it, although she had no way of knowing it was my name. I don't know what this is, I said, letting her place the card in my hand. I was dumbstruck. Only thing that card didn't have on it was where I'd been. Like, it didn't say juvenile detention center or anything like that. I saw it lying on the towpath and picked it up, I told her. She reached into her pocket and pulled out some folded dollar bills and a little bit of loose change. Here, she said, handing me the cash I'd taken from the truck driver. She dug into her other pocket. Oh, and this jackknife. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten those things. I tried to study Nora's face, like did she suspect anything, what was she going to do, but I couldn't tell because all at once she stood up and brushed off her shorts. I've got to get back and do some homework, she said. I was totally speechless and sat there staring at the stuff in my hands until it sunk in that she was leaving. Hey, thanks again for the crutches, I called after her. Sure thing, she replied, and she waved, but without turning around. And that is the end of chapter 14.